What is up, everybody? What is up? Today's going to be a little bit different and super special. Today, we got a really special episode where we're going to have the one and only Grandmaster Flash on. Very excited. We did something special for Flash. Flash is somebody that I personally, and a lot of my DJ colleagues feel the same about. He's somebody who really influenced us, definitely influenced hip hop in the culture. So we wanted to make a little something special for him. Let us know what you guys think. Here we go. Today, we welcome a true pioneer, a living legend who shaped the soundscape of a generation. From the bustling streets of the Bronx, a young Grandmaster Flash grew up surrounded by music, rhythm, and an insatiable curiosity. Armed with a stack of records, a pair of turntables, a deep passion for sound, he didn't just play music, he redefined it. As the architect of turntablism, Grandmaster Flash transformed DJing from simply spinning records to an intricate, groundbreaking art form. He introduced us to scratching, blending, and the genius of the quick mix theory, laying the foundation for what we now know as hip-hop.
I go by the name of the Grandmaster Flash from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5.
But his innovation didn't stop there. With the hits like The Message, Flash turned music into a powerful voice for the streets, shedding the light of the struggles of urban life and proving that hip-hop was more than just music. It was a movement.
And to all the people out there listening to this program at this time, giving me this chance to demonstrate what the whole world wants to know exactly, what is break mixing?
A Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award winner, and the undeniable godfather of the DJ culture, Grandmaster Flash is not just a name, he's a legacy.
In order to properly execute a break mix, you must have something that will reduce drag, which can either be paper or felt. So it's called the punch phase. That's what we call scratch phase. What I'm about to do right about here is called a silent phase. The next phase that I'm about to do, called, I entitle it the melodic scratch. The next thing that I am about to do is called the Grandmaster Flash crossover. It's actually taking two different records, cutting them on time, all the time. The way that I've seen other disc jockeys playing their music, it was like they could have done more. Maybe not what I did, but they could have done more to how can I say, enhance the mix. I mean, as far as for the people that pay their hard-earned money, they come into the discotheques. I don't think this is totally fair, really, to just start the record from the beginning and then wait for it to end and mix the next record in. I mean, you're not doing no work. I mean, if you're gonna do work, do work. You know, try different things.
Join me as we sit down with the man who turned the wheels of steel into wheels of history. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Grandmaster Flash.
I took a risk, really, just trying something new, really. Not knowing where it was going to really take me.
The one and only Grandmaster Flash.
What's going on, man? How are you? How you doing? Thank you for having me.
Good. We wanted to give you a proper introduction.
Whoa.
And there was no way I was going to say it that eloquently.
Whoa, thank you so much. You know, it takes me back to when I was 15, 16. And hearing music play the way it was, I just thought that every great record, it was a great part. And there's a long story after that, but the way DJs was playing records, you know, the tone arm played a major role for them. And for me, I had to learn how to play the actual turntable the wrong way, where the tone arm was 99.9% useless, and your fingertips on the vinyl, on the mixer, opening and closing the fader, and taking duplicate copies and taking short breaks and extending them, not realizing that if I put a microphone on the other side of the table and ask people to talk to this, I didn't realize in the 70s that would become this. It's pretty cool, Cova, you know.
That's amazing. 50 years later, brother. 50 plus. This is amazing.
Yeah. 52 for me, man. Yeah.
So I think the big question is hip hop back then. What was it like? The park parties? What was it like in the Bronx? And how is that shifting where you gave birth to hip hop?
Well, I call it the experimental years. And during these years, Cova, we DJs, whether it was Africa Bambaataa or Kool Herc or DJ Breakout or Grandmaster Flash. The key thing is to find those particular records that had that drum solo part, and that might be a pop record or a rock record or a blues record or funk record or disco record or an R&B record or an alternative record or a Caribbean record. You know, during this early stage of this, I want to say, Cova, the particular music that we were playing, just as long as it had a dope drum break was the key thing. But for me, I had to find a way to actually set it up where I could time one after another. So if you in a party with me in the 70s, I might have went through black music, white music, foreign music, American music. I might have played you a break from Greece. I might have played a break from California or whatever, and you just didn't know it because I was just hitting you over and over and over again and rocking the beat on time. That was our early stage. You know, the DJ is the hero of this whole thing.
I love it. Looking at a turntable and a mixer, what was that to you? What did you see differently that others didn't?
That's a strong question, Cova. That's a strong question. What did I see? So when I was going around, going to a friend's house and asking their mom, do you have any records in the closet that you don't want? Oh boy, go and take them records with you. And taking them home and testing them and see how long the break was. Some of the breaks were like 10 seconds. And I have to be quite honest, how I came up with this quick mix theory, you know, first DJ to make the turntables an instrument by putting my fingertips on the vinyl. I did it out of anger because I really wanted it to be in the record, but it wasn't. But then I became like the worst loved DJ. I say this because Cova, back then, vinyl enthusiasts were very careful how they handled the vinyl, and they had the velvet brush. And they would very carefully put it back, put it in the album jacket. But me, I would take 2 copies and just shove it in. I wanted to get to the break really quickly. I put crayon on it to mark it because if I was in dark places, I had to be able to drop the needle and then go into the theory and take those off and on to the next 2 and take those off. I had record guides. Records was flying all night long. So for me, I became the bastard. Like, how dare you do this to vinyl? How dare you put your hands on the vinyl like that? You know, and trying to get into jobs in the clubs. Cova wasn't nobody with me. Like, what do you think that's going to do? Putting your fingertips on the records and just taking the break and extending it like you're doing it seamlessly. Who's going to get with this? I guess the rest is history, Cova. Just here we are.
I love that. We're in a row right now. The turntable.
Cool.
What were the early iterations that you had to get that pitch moving? Like, did you not have a pitch at first? What was the evolution?
Okay, so let's put it this way. In my early search for the turntable, I was born in Throgs Neck Projects in the Bronx. And behind the projects, Cova, there was a junkyard. And people would throw out old stereos. I would also find this toy by Fisher Price with the turntable on it. Anything that had a turntable, I would drag it into the house. I became public enemy #1, bringing in all this junk in the house. So my sisters was hating on me. And like, what are you doing bringing all the junk in there? And I was just trying every type of turntable possible. And the turntable that finally became the turntable of choice for me is when I was walking by this electronics store on Southern Boulevard in the Hunts Point area of the Bronx. And it was this ugly gray turntable in the window. And it looked like on the edge of it, the turntable had the mumps, like all these bumps on it. So I walked in and asked the guy, I'm doing a study on turntables. To make a long story short, I looked at the model number and the brand name of who made this turntable, and it was this unknown company called Techniques. The model number was the SL23, which is the grandfather to the 1200, by the way, by 15 years. And they were belt-driven turntables, and they did have pitch control on them, but they were belt-driven. So your touch had to be very, very light. And the rubber was the enemy on the turntable. And then I had to come up with something that my mom's, God bless the dead, she's been going a long time. She was a seamstress, and that's where I came up with the slip mat. The wax paper. I pulled the rubber off and put those 2 things on, and then I put the vinyl on it, turned the turntable on. Turntable went in a clockwise position very comfortably while I would go counterclockwise. That was the problem solved. And then it was the needle, then it was the conical, and then it was the elliptical. You know, I can go to the science of this for a long time, but just trying to find all these different parts to put all these things together because I could hear it in my head what I wanted to do. And I knew that I could not use the tone arm to find that part, because once you pick the tone arm up and drop it back down, it's almost impossible for you to hit that mark again. For me, I had to do the blasphemy. For me to return to the top of the break using 2 copies of records, I had to count the bars frontwards and backwards, but I had to put my fingertips on the record. That's why I became the bastard of the DJ world. This guy has no respect for vinyl. Went out in the park with this, and people would not dance because they never seen this. So I had to do 2 things. I had to start teaching people this, and then eventually it was maybe somebody could talk to this while I was DJing. First successful DJ that I taught this to was a baby at the time, and I would take a milk crate, put it under him, and tell him to stand on the milk crate, look at what I'm doing, and follow me. His name was Grandmaster Theodore. From there on, going out in the parks, I think it angered DJs because they had to retool. They had to learn a new way to play, and this was the way. And although I had the sound system out of the 4 of us, it was drawing like major crowds from all different areas of New York to see this, not realizing that this here would then connect to sampling and then connect to producers sampling, and then those producers that made some of the most incredible records of all time, so they were DJs too. So here we are. DJs played an incredible role to making the backing track that these rappers needed a bit of music to speak on.
Like you said the mad scientist. I love that. The crossfader, how is that invented? Was it just up and down with the realistics first?
Okay, this is what people gets really confused on, what it was I invented and what I incorporated into the quick mix theory. The crossfader was already invented, but the problem was the mixers that were built at this time, Cova, didn't have queuing system. So this is what I had to build. I had to go to Radio Shack, which was the place where you would get parts. I purchased a single pole double throw switch, and what I would do is through the jacks of the turntables, I split the audio, and then I had an external amplifier on the other side so that I would plug the headphone into this 5-watt amplifier, just enough to drive the headphone. So when you click to the left, you would hear the turntable and be able to cue up before you play it out to the people. And when you click to the right, you could hear the left turntable. Now it gave me a chance to line up rock drummers with jazz drummers, with blues drummers, with funk drummers, with R&B drummers, with drummers of all types from all parts of the world. Because now I could pre-hear what it is, click, what I'm doing, click, what I'm doing, as opposed to just using the tone arm and just gambling. If you got 1,000 people in front of you, you want it to be unison, the heads. You don't want disarray. The key thing was for it to never be disarray. It was always had to be unison. So when I was doing this in the various areas that I was doing this Cova, they were like, how is he doing this? I couldn't get people to dance. So I put a microphone on the other side of the table. And there was this one particular gentleman that was able to just talk and do things and have the crowd go do some other shit so I could just do what I was doing. And his name was Cowboy. So now that the crowd stopped staring at me, this was great because I wanted them to dance. So whatever it took. So Cowboy played a major role in verbalizing and getting people to throw their hands in the air and the whole 9 yards. And Grandmaster Theodore played a major role in wanting to learn this way of playing and playing this way. This is where we are now.
Just the stories are insane. So my last question about the back in the day. Well, you know, Twitch is global. You've been on here for a long time now.
Love it.
And I just feel like I want to give them the sense of what block parties were. What was a block party? How did you go outside? What music would you play? How did people dance?
The block parties was way back in the days with disco DJs, Cool Herc, Africa Bambaataa. So for me, I had the worst sound system out of all the DJs at that time. I had to put together a makeshift system. So whenever Cova, I decided to go outside, I would put the word out in the hood that I'm going into a park. Parks that we played mostly was 63 Park and 23 Park. But here's what the major problem was. When I would play in these parks, I would ask the grocery store guy, can I bring my extension cord and plug it into the electricity so that I can have the power of my little sound system? And they will all say, hell no. So at this particular time as a teenager, my heroes was Tesla, Banneker, Edison, just to name a few. So I understood the law of electricity. So I can remember Cova going into the park and looking around and saying, I have to find electricity. I seen a lamppost outside the park. So what I did was I broke open the bottom part of the lamppost to get to the exposing wires. And what I had to figure out is, at the nighttime, the lamppost we shut on during the nighttime and off during the daytime. So the lamppost goes on at about 6 p.m. and there wasn't no human being coming up there doing that. It had to be something electrical inside the lamppost, and then I found out that it was an electronic switch. So I cut the head off my extension cord, stripped the wires, and the electricity that was constant behind the electronic switcher is where I put the 2 wires, electrical tape, ran extension cord into the park, and that's how I got my electricity. Thankful to Samuel Gompers Vocational and Technical High School, I understood what alternating current was and how it works. Once we did that, this was the testing ground. When we went record shopping or we found a new break, the block party was the place to test it because you had people from children to 60, 70, 80 years old jammed in this park. So to play these songs was a place where we could test these things. We could test a white funk record, a black funk record, a disco record, a pop record, an R&B record, all different types of genre. We was able to just test it, Cova. It was major for me because I started shopping for all type of genres of records. All of us DJs, as a matter of fact, just looking for that particular break. And I can remember Take Me to the Mardi Gras by Bob James, trying that record out. And that was very successful. Then trying out the Cool Herc with Apache. Bam had specials. So that was pretty much, the block parties played a very pivotal role on whether you were a DJ that was going to last. Because to draw your crowd, you had to play the great, dope records. So the block party was an outdoor place in a park, and we used to just play. The miraculous thing about this, Cova, is I could see police cars lined up from one end of the block to the other end of the block jamming with us because they was bored. They had nothing to do. Everybody was in the park having a good time. So it was definitely a testing area.
That's amazing. I love that. Future me here. To set the stage for what's coming up next, Grandmaster Flash is going to talk about some of the limitations and frustrations of old school radio. Before social media and the internet, radio was the way to reach huge audiences. It was every up-and-coming DJ's dream. Massive reach, connections to labels and artists, and the direct line to countless listeners. But things have changed. With the rise of streaming services like Spotify and YouTube, music consumption has shifted dramatically. DJs had to adapt, learning to use social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube to promote their brand, events, and music. Then in March 2020, with the pandemic, things got even more complicated. Many DJs suddenly had to find new ways to express their creative connectivity and connect with fans, or even build a fan base from scratch. Initially, platforms like Facebook and Instagram seemed like the answer, but copyright issues and label pressure forced the platforms to crack down on DJs using copyrighted material, making it incredibly frustrating to grow and connect. While some of the DJs migrated to TikTok and Instagram, many others quietly discovered Twitch, a platform primarily known for gaming. DJs began exploring Twitch, learning its ins and outs. At first, DJ sets weren't perfectly compliant with label requirements. But eventually, Twitch worked out a deal with the labels, establishing a compensation structure that benefits both the platform and the DJs. Since then, Twitch has become a haven for DJs. Legends like Jazzy Jeff, Scratch Bastard, Grandmaster Flash, and even house legends like David Morales and many more have flocked to the platform, using it to reach a global audience. Whether you're beginner, intermediate, or advanced, we highly urge you to check the program out. Many so-called bedroom DJs have gotten their start here and have now played at many events and even festivals. And don't forget to catch our show every Wednesday and Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central European Time, going over these exact topics, product reviews, DJ competitions, artist interviews, and much more. Now let's get back to the interview. Being from when this all started, seeing DJs like Red Alert, yourself, Mr. Magic, like all these people on the radio and how radio was so big. How does Twitch fit into that?
When I was first asked to get on radio, there were rules. I can remember all the old masters back then saying, you never want that red phone to ring. I kept asking why. They said, if that phone rings, the program director is getting ready to give you hell for what you just played. Here we are, decades later. I can play records on Twitch to play the music that made this culture. This playing field on Twitch is more vast than I can even see. And that's how much I love this. I'm still on the journey playing on Twitch. That's what makes it so wonderful.
So let's talk about the politics you had to go through, the friction, and how we should utilize this platform and how we can expand on it.
The politics to get on regular radio is what it is. You should be trying to utilize this platform to please the world. There's less politics over here. I'm going to say this. I'm a scientist first. And I think with modern technology and with all the music that we have out here, try to play it all. There's no politics here. Production is everything. Like if you come on my Twitch, my production is extremely heavy. I want to throw visuals at you, throw 4 different camera angles. I want to put cameras on my hands. I want a little bit of AI. So it's like AI versus the old school me. When you come on my Twitch, I want to give you more. So for me, I'm just having fun. And I just want to say, Jeff, thank you for nagging me. It's a wonderful thing. But this is the way I see it. I'm on this because I'm doing this for the love, right? But if you're on this because you want to make money, then you better have your game tight every time you go on. I'm on this for a much bigger reason. Much, much bigger reason. As godfather of this DJ culture, I'm saying to every last one of you DJs, make it a point to put your sets together the best you possibly can, because the analytics is going to reflect that. So if you're on it and you're playing the same 50 records over and over again, the audience is going to know. And this may not sit well with every DJ. You should come up with a different set. I personally think if you're going to play the same 50 records every week, nobody's going to follow you. I think the audience is idiots. They're not stupid. So I say try it all. The politics of regular DJing. You can go to 20 different countries and possibly get away with the same set. But you can't do that here now. No politics here, man. If you got people that's following you and that's coming on your set, they're looking to see what you're going to do next. Come up with a different set every time you go on, because the people are listening. Shit, there was a time if you were new, you made no money. This Twitch thing has given DJs who weren't in the streets and had to gain a name. That's what makes this thing quite wonderful. So if you don't come from the time when you had to go into a building and perform, and if this is new for you, then please your audience, or please the audience you think is in front of you, because once again, we can't see all the people. But be excited about doing this. And I'm going to say this again, try it all. Try it all. When I do my show on Wednesday, in the middle of the set, Cova, I put on the instrumental and I say, all right, I've been watching the chat, but then I ask, where are you listening to me from now? Borough, your city, your country, your state, because it could go as far as Australia, Brazil, Scotland, like all the places that I've traveled. I'm now seeing this on the chat. This is telling me that I'm touching people musically. This is why I'm saying this is bigger than me trying to make money on this. I make money on it, but the cause, the purpose for this is to show the world that we DJs are as equally important as the rappers, as the breakers, as the graffiti artists. We matter. And that's pretty much how I feel about that.
You've been on here for a long time now. Twitch is global.
And I want to give a huge shout out to this one DJ who nagged me saying, Flash, you have to get on this new thing called Twitch. I call him Lil Bro. His name is DJ Jazzy Jeff. Him and I probably were the most heavily touring overseas DJs ever. To be in one location and play country to country, this is incredible. Now I'm playing to the world every time I get on. It takes me back to when I was 16, the experimental years all over again. I like to think that I've mastered how to rock a crowd. But once a week, I have to figure out how to rock Earth. That's big. Shout out to Jeff Bezos, to all the wonderful people at Twitch. It's really cool. I look forward to playing it. This thing takes a part of my life every week. Like I have to look at what I play and not repeat. And for me, playing on Twitch absolutely testing my skill. I don't pay attention to the analytics. I just want to teach. Very important to me. So that when God does take me, I leave something behind.
In our next segment, Grandmaster Flash goes over edits and the fundamentals to DJing, enabling personalized tracks and distinctive mixes that set DJs apart. Even veterans like Grandmaster Flash recognize the power of edits and their ability to craft a musical sonic experience for each audience. Customized mixes are crucial for standing out, facilitating seamless transitions, highlighting that specific song sections, and adding creative flair. Edits also help DJs adapt to diverse crowds and venues, ensuring dynamic performances. Hip-hop pioneer Grandmaster Flash has long utilized edits like quick cuts, loops, and blends, influencing generations of DJs. His continued use of edits underscores their enduring value in the ever-changing music landscape. Now let's jump back into the interview. Before we got on, we did a test stream a couple hours before. What'd you tell me? You said, Cova, I'm going to start working on some edits. And when I get in the zone, you did a whole thing. So tell me about the edits and where you're taking this, because this is important.
But now this thing called edits, that's the game changer now. That's big, Cova. And I watch all these young people with these edits. So now I'm going to be working in that area, trying to take some of my collection and put a twist on certain things. Whether I'm working with some of these DJs that has given me some of the most dopest edits, or whether I'm making it, I'm real big. I'm huge on this edit thing. Now, your edits become your musical thumbprint. That's a Flash edit right there. That's a Jeff edit right there. That's a David C. Dennett edit there. That's a DJ Icy Ice edit there. It's your thumbprint. So now I could take the record apart, and I've got 52 years of music to just join that to that. It's just the next level of how I came up with the quick mix theory, which every DJ in the world uses now. So now it's just a matter of just saying, what drums am I going to swap out of this song and put it on another song? Or this melody on this song? I can do it as I see it. But this is what makes you an expert. This is like the experimental years all over again, Cova. Try it all. Try all this. Make these edits.